Hey guys, it's Song from iFrame Games. Here's my first Godot tutorial. So for something a little bit more advanced, I don't even know if you consider this really advanced. Honestly, it's just an issue I had, and I want to share it with people. So if you want to know how to make it so that your player, when they go over an edge, kind of like this, over stuff like that, because in the previous iteration that I had it in, what happened is the player would actually kind of fly off and then jitter down. But I actually fixed it, and I'm going to show you how you can fix this problem so you don't have to have people flying off the edges unless you want that to be the thing in your game. It's up to you, really. So, to get started, I'm going to make a new project file, completely empty. I'm going to put the basics in there so we can start from like scratch, post one. I don't know what you call it. Okay, and we're back. So let me show you what the actual issue is and how we're going to actually fix it. So I basically set up our script to handle character motion now, so you can see go left and right. Also did animation, so you see he's jumping, and you can see right here once he rounds that corner, he's going to fall, and then he's going to start walking again. So one of the issues that you might have is you notice how if you decide to turn back like this, the player is actually going to go into a jump state. And there's a couple of ways you can actually handle jump states. The way I've done it is that I'm using enumerations, and I'm actually having a variable control that. So you see right here, I have a state function that basically matches it. And so that's all good and all. You could really keep that into your game. It's really not that big of an issue. But typically in platformers, when you actually go down the slope, you'll actually, keep going down. And, that's generally how most platformers work. But another issue that's actually coming up right now is since we're using move and slide, you can see right here, if I let my player stop moving, you'll notice that he's going to be continuously dragged down. That's because we have the variable that controls moving on slopes to be false. And you can see right here, if you actually go into your move and slide, there's actually a default variables. You can see right here, list them all off. And so boolean on stop equals false. We're actually going to change that to true. So our player will stop moving on the slope, which actually adds in a couple of issues as well. So you can see right here, going down the slope, you can kind of see it's a little bit jagged. I don't actually think that's an issue. I think that's just basic jitteriness. I don't know. Godot's kind of weird like that with certain situations. So but let me show you how to actually fix this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here. You can see we have our air state right here. We're not going to be doing too much in the air state. There is going to be a small fix later on that we're going to have to do just because of how the air state is handled in Godot. The collision boxes are kind of janky. This might be fixed if we use a capital shape, but if you're using a rectangular shape, you might have to do this to fix your issue. But first, let's solve the first issue first before we do anything else. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to player, and we're actually going to add a raycast. So look for raycast 2D, and we're going to rename this ground check. So what we're going to be using this for is when the player actually goes off the edge right here. Let me just actually move the player right over here so I can actually show you. So when we move our player over here, you can see at this point he is no longer considered to be touching the ground just because of how the collision shape works. But the issue is at that point he's now going to go into an air state. But what we want to do is we want to have it so the player will be constantly pulled down when he's in a grounded state no matter what, just because of how gravity is handled. Right here you can see it's being added onto motion of Y rather than setting motion Y to a certain degree. And so if we implemented just a constant gravity, what would happen is your player would actually never be able to jump off the ground. So if I said right here, like if I said on ground true, motion Y is actually let me just add a constant gravity, so of 1,000, and you can see right here, you can see that he's never going to be able to jump off the ground. But that's because as soon as he gets off the ground, instantly gravity will tell motion Y that it's actually equal to 1,000, so you won't actually be able to go anywhere. So we're just going to adjust that, and you can actually see in a lower value right here, you can see that's what happens, that you won't actually be able to jump. And so this is kind of circumventing that issue as well. And how we're going to do it is we're going to be using is on floor. So you can see right here, I have an empty is on floor equals true. I just do that just because it's easier to read later on when you're working on stuff. So right here in else, or if you're not touching the ground, what we're going to do is we're going to actually check for ground check. And let me turn on enable before we do anything, just so. And so what we're going to do is we're going to say if ground check equals true, then we're going to get the normal of the ground check, which is, oh wait, no, sorry, mess that up. It's if ground check dot colliding is equal to true. We're gonna get ground check. We're gonna get the collider normal. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be getting a dot product. So the reason I'm doing this, and this is actually a way that you can actually just turn off gravity altogether, is we can get a dot product to make sure that the player is actually on a slope. And if that turns out to be true, we can actually keep pulling it down. There's a lot of ways to handle this, but for me, I actually just don't bother my gravity at all. I just set it to whatever it is. So we're going to get the normal, and basically we're going to use the dot product. So we're going to say if normal dot up, which up is a variable that I actually made up here. You can see it's a vector with it pointing upwards. And basically we're getting the dot product of those two. If the dot up is less than or than 72, and your dot product generally for a 45-degree angle will be 0.71 blah 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 blah. I believe that's pi divided by 4 to be exact. I just do 0.72 just to be a little bit safer. But now we're going to say if the dot product is that, we're going to have motion y equal to 400. And if ground check, or we got to put in else if ground check dot is colliding equals false, we're going to have it set to current state equals air. And honestly, this is going to give us an issue. I'm going to show you how to actually fix it. It's really simple. So you can see now our player will be able to round the edges without an issue. And you can see he will stick onto that slope really, really hard like a clean girlfriend. So problem solved, right? But now we're running into another issue. So you can see right here, we can't jump. We can jump if we're over here, but we can't jump if we're over here. Oh, wait, I guess we just did it. Well, you can't jump if you're moving forward. You can jump if you're moving away because I guess the collider actually isn't connecting at that slope. Weirdly enough, or it might be considered not colliding at the moment of the jump. But easy way to fix that is we're actually just going to take this current air and we're gonna actually move that into our jump script right there. So you can see right here, this is our jump script. And so now we're going to be able to jump even if we're moving this way. Yes, you can see he's sticking his arm up in the air. So having a grand old time. Woohoo, it all works out. Wait, and let me see. You can see right there, that's the issue I'm talking about before. Well, I don't know, when I was going on a rant about not being able to jump properly. This is the issue I was talking about. At some point, for some reason, your player, when he jumps, he's actually going to still be considered to be on the ground. And because of how we have our jump script enabled, or our air script technically, you can see right here, as soon as the engine detects that he's on the ground, it's going to automatically turn us back into this right here. The best way to fix this is to set a small delay timer. And so, easy way to do that, we're going to have this. We're going to jump, or we're going to call it ground delay timer. And we're going to set that equal to 0.05. You can set it smaller, depending on your situation. Really doesn't matter how you do it. And basically, we're going to say if is on floor is true, we're going to do jump, or ground delay timer minus equals delta. And we're going to say if ground delay timer is less than or equal to 0, we're going to set our current state to ground, and we're also going to reset our delay timer to uh, 0.05. So you can see right there. Now our player is going to be able to jump off the slope without having too much issues. You can see right here, he's all over the place. You can see he's jumping up. No problem whatsoever. Just because we have the small delay now, so we won't run into that issue. Now, one of the things you might notice is that you might be able to, kind of like quickly jump off the slope. That's, you're just going to have to adjust your delay timer on that. Or, maybe find out a more elaborate way. If you do find a more elaborate way, sorry, I can't speak well, post in the comments. I actually am very interested in see how other people handle this situation. Just because this is a solution I found after kind of like scouring the internet. I haven't found anyone who actually like posted it directly on how to do it. So I guess this would be the first video tutorial to actually handle this. But that's pretty much it. And if you guys have any other questions, especially since this is a little bit more advanced tutorial, if you don't know how to set up your kinematic body, if you don't know how to set up a movement script, if you don't know how the collision works, or you want to do a tile map, just let me know in the comments below. I'll do more tutorials on that. If you don't want to wait, there are a lot of people on YouTube that are really, really great at getting this going. There's one video creator that I saw. I believe its name is the video titles were called How to Make a Godot Platformer, and there's parts like 1 through 6 on it. Really, really great way to learn how to do this stuff. Now, of course, you can do it on your own. You don't have to do it exactly like me. In fact, this might be the less optimal way to do it. Of course, there are like millions of different ways on how to make your player move exactly the way you want it. But that should be it. Thank you guys for watching, and if you guys liked it, subscribe or don't. It's up to you. I don't care. Please subscribe. And I'm going to bring you guys a little bit more tutorials later on. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day. Take care.